thanks so much for taking the time to join us today to talk about your experience with JumpCloud. But before we get going, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your MSP?
Thanks, Chris. It's great to be here. My name is Bill Hammelman. I'm the president of CCP Technologies. CCP Tech is based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we are an MSP that moves across the greater Southeast. We serve industries to include professional services, engineering, state and local government, nonprofits, medical, legal, you name it. We believe in supporting our clients, meeting them where they are, and helping them get to where they need to be.
Yeah, fantastic. And I've got a couple of questions that came up straight away from there, but you've been around for a while, right? I saw on your website you've been going since around 2000.
Yep, we've been in business since 2000. We started out as sort of your standard break fix hardware. If your computer has a problem, you bring it to us and we can help you with that. Very reactive, but for the time frame, very appropriate MSP services. And as the industry has evolved and as honestly business has evolved, we've evolved as well. So we've moved more towards professional services, proactive services, digital transformation, consulting, managed security, et cetera. In order to help our clients move in those directions, we've had to embrace, lots of changing technologies, leading edge tools, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I wanted to come back on that sort of your initial client type, because I think I don't know if this is common or you're a little bit unique in this, as you mentioned, sort of local government and municipalities. Is that something that is that more specialized? Is there kind of more work involved in from a compliance point of view?
So I would say that state and local government clients do require a specialized knowledge of how they operate. Obviously they are subject to state law, they are subject to federal law, they are subject to local law, conflict of interest, et cetera. Their goals, though similar to commercial clients, their goals really are kind of the same. They want a simple solution, but they want a compliant solution. And so we have to understand what those compliance needs are, and we have to help them kind of translate the technical solution that meets that compliance need in order to be a good partner to them.
Excellent. No, that's great. That makes sense. I guess moving on to the sort of product stack and the offerings that you offer to your clients. Are you a Microsoft house with sort of Microsoft 365, or do you work with Google or both?
So we believe every client's unique, and we accommodate the client's sort of unique business needs. And so to that end, we support the Microsoft stack, we support the Google Workspace stack. We have some clients that are in mixed environments. We have some clients that are, all Apple products. So because of this, because of our kind of philosophical need to meet our clients where they are, we support a lot of different things, a lot of different kind of cats and dogs type technologies. We don't think a cookie cutter is a good way to be a solid, technology partner. So therefore, we have to be pretty broad, and we have to think big and bring solutions to our clients that allow for that breadth, but also strategically get them to where they need to be.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm seeing that more and more people. It used to be a case was Mac or Windows, and a lot of MSPs wouldn't even touch Mac, but now that's just not, you can't turn that work away anymore.
Well, I think I agree. And I think we would never turn that type of work away. For us to be successful, we have to accommodate, what our clients are bringing to us, because that's their reality, however they got there. I think there's a trend in our industry right now toward trying to make a cookie cutter solution for clients, for trying to say, hey, like, you're not a good client for us if you don't meet this criteria, and here's our cookie cutter criteria. And I think that's a foul. I think that's a good way to have a distance between you and your client, and not a good way to establish that relationship and really understand their needs. And that's why you need to have a knowledge of what they need, and then you need to have a knowledge of what sort of solutions are out there that actually meet those needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we're seeing a lot of transition to sort of bring your own device or choose your own device, which because it's a competitive employment market and people want to come into the workplace, they may want to use this productivity suite or this device to work on. And I guess the MSP's role is to sort of make all that happen.
Yeah, it is, right? And so there are a lot of industries that are not regulated, and clients have the luxury of being able to say, bring your own device, choose your own device, offering sort of this a la carte sort of menu to their employees. and that does allow them to be more competitive in their hiring practices. So you have to accommodate that. Some of those industries, though, are not regulated currently and will become regulated, or they'll have some sort of downstream effect where their clients are regulated clients. And so you go from where I think we've been in the last 10 years, where bring your own device, work from home, all of these hybrid environments are really advantageous to the efficiency of a business. I think we're going to see a movement toward a lot more stringent, policy-based, security policy-based compliance on behalf of a downstream or upstream entity that you're supporting. As an example, for us, we have many clients in regulated industries. The MSP industry is not a regulated industry, but we treat ourselves as if we are in a regulated industry because we support so many clients as an integral part of their team. And they say, hey, our IT infrastructure is managed by CCP Tech, and we are a regulated, audited, et cetera, organization. So we're going through ISO with them. We're going through FINRA, we're going through HIPAA. We're going through all these compliance processes, audits, drills, et cetera. And so the MSP industry is not directly regulated, but it's almost like it is responsible. If you want to be in that part of the game, you have to responsible for compliance across all of those regulated industries.
Yeah, that's really got me thinking, because over here, I'm in the UK, for those that don't know, but there's a move to kind of put regulation in MSPs. And I think Europe in general is probably more in favor of regulation. When I've spoke to colleagues or friends in the US, they've kind of said that they probably don't see MSPs being regulated anytime soon, but they see that maybe insurance is maybe going to drive the increase in standards and the kind of regulation that you were talking about, because to get cyber insurance, you've got to go through all these same exercises.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. I think industry, I think the insurance industry and just supply and demand pricing and price pressure from the insurance industry, especially because of ransomware and cybersecurity, is going to provide incentive for MSPs to go get some level of certification that they are secure. I think that's going to look like a lot of different things, though. And I think we've seen it, we've talked to a different cyber insurance broker, and we help our clients with cyber insurance. We see dozens of different examples of different cyber insurance vendors of, what does compliance look like for them? And it's all different. And so I think that's sort of where we are now. Like, we're already there. We're already like quasi-regulated by the insurance organizations. But I have a feeling that it's going to become, even in the US, and it's probably going to start in certain areas, so certain states might drive it. But I do think they will say, an organization operating in this state, in the MSP or in the cybersecurity industry, I bet that will be the term. Cybersecurity organizations will come under some level of potentially state or local regulatory compliance. And, you'll be left with, how do you fill all those gaps if you want to do business in this region? So I think we all have to get ahead of it. If we want to be an MSP of the future, you have to get ahead of the compliance and regulatory readiness activity right now.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that is kind of what you're saying. You're trying to, even though you're not regulated, you kind of treating yourselves as though you're part of a regulated industry now, and which obviously helping you with your sort of regulated clients. So no, that's really interesting. And with the clients that you work with, I'm guessing it's a combination, but I'll ask the question anyway. I mean, are you the kind of outsourced IT department in its entirety, or do you work with local IT teams within the?
Good question. So by necessity, we are both the fully outsourced IT department, to include virtual CIO, strategy, logistics, ordering, et cetera, for some clients. And for other clients, typically the larger clients that are in regulated industries, we are a piece of the puzzle that they have for their technology needs. And so large organizations, especially state and local government, will have in-house IT, and we provide often the professional services side, consulting, thought leadership, We will also provide those managed security services and access to tools, at a competitive rate and at scale. So, by necessity, because we operate across multiple industries, we are flexible in how we deliver our services. Again, I don't think that it's advantageous for an MSP to be a cookie cutter and say, we will only operate with clients that are in this one particular model, because even the clients are going to evolve over time. A client grows from a 25-person organization to a 75-person organization. They're going to have to most likely put someone in-house to do IT, and that someone is going to be a generalist, out of necessity. And so MSPs still provide a valuable role, even in organizations that have transitioned from fully outsourced to hybrid IT scenarios.
Yeah, I think your vision of the future MSP kind of aligns with mine, but it is all based around this sort of flexibility, and rather than going down the sort of one size fits all, which MSPs have historically been driven down a certain way, because the mantra was always standardize, have the kind of really small, or make all of your clients look exactly the same so you can automate and sort of reduce the cost of delivery. But I think that's becoming more and more difficult for MSPs now, because, as you say, clients are evolving all the time as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think if you want to have an exciting experience as an MSP, you have to get away from that old way of thinking about standardization, because we have multiple clients that on paper should look the same, in the same industry doing the same thing, but in reality, they're very different from each other from a technology perspective. And if we tried to take the standardization approach with them, half of them wouldn't be able to get there, and we would lose them as clients, and we would have failed them as partners.
Yeah, great. So let's move on to the next section, which the marketing department always like to hear. This is primarily focused around your relationship with JumpCloud and how you initially came across JumpCloud.
So we found JumpCloud when we were looking for a very specific solution to a very specific client need. Now, representative of all our clients with very unique scenarios, we're always on the lookout for industry best solutions that can solve as many problems as possible. The particular problem we were trying to solve is a client that had multiple Active Directory forests, and no intention of integrating those forests directly. In specific detail, this client in a regulated governmental industry was prevented from integrating these directories, and so looking for a solution to allow them to be secure, to authenticate, and to do that with a simple technology, a forward-leaning technology, led us to JumpCloud. So we can operate in a hybrid environment with a tool that allows us to simply put what I'll say on top of a client's existing infrastructure, and bring it all together in a way that's secure, simple, manageable, cost-effective, et cetera. So when we were looking at alternatives, looking at an analysis of the different tools in the industry that would allow us to do that, we determined that JumpCloud checked all the boxes for cost effectiveness, simplicity, technical elegance, ability to execute on the vision, and that's how we started our relationship with JumpCloud.
That's pretty typical, actually. People come with a use case that's kind of for one particular client, but I don't think I've heard that particular use case as being the trigger before. Some people maybe come with Radius, or they need to do more with Mac, or they want to integrate that, but that's a kind of a unique way, but a common path into it with a particular problem. And how has that evolved over time? Do you work with more clients with JumpCloud now?
Yeah, so it's evolved over time in two different ways. Number one, with that first scenario, we've evolved to find clients in like scenarios that have that same need. And so we identified, municipalities that have both standard governmental and also law enforcement responsibilities often find themselves in this scenario. So they have to have, because of the protection of criminal justice information system, which is a federally regulated data set, and separating that from your kind of standard municipal operations, which is not federally regulated. You have organizations, hundreds, thousands of them across the country that are in this scenario. And so it's a solution to a long-standing problem for a very large market of organizations. And so we continue to expand into that area. The second area is to be thinking about sort of the sweet spot, in my opinion, of the JumpCloud solution, which is the ability to elegantly manage these hybrid organizations that are operating in PCs and Macs and Android and iOS and Chromebooks and you name it. Some of them are bring your own device. Some of them are just departmentally focused, and they have different IT needs, and the need to standardize is not as important as the need to be efficient and the need to focus. And so JumpCloud allows us to solve that same security and authentication problem, similar to the other organizations, for these hybrid environment organizations that, to this day, typically they can solve a subset of their technology challenges and they just sort of write off the rest of it. Well, JumpCloud allows them to bring it all under one umbrella.
Cool, that's great to hear. And which sort of parts of the JumpCloud solution do you currently use? Obviously, it's the more and more added to it all the time. Are you using sort of the bulk of it or just in individual components?
We're still relatively early in our JumpCloud rollout, and so we really do focus on the authentication and single sign-on tool set aspect of JumpCloud. We're excited about it, and we talk to our clients all the time about the ability to do some cost avoidance in areas where they have single point third-party solutions that JumpCloud will continue to displace. But we've sort of started with what I'd call the kind of fundamentals of JumpCloud, and we're expanding out from that foothold.
No, I agree. The bread and butter, I guess, as I would say, the kind of the core, which leads on to the next question really nicely, actually, because you say you're quite new to JumpCloud, and so if I was speaking to a new MSP looking at JumpCloud, or you bumped into a peer at a trade show or event, and they said, "What's this JumpCloud all about? Should I take a look at it?" I mean, how would you position JumpCloud to another MSP?
I think the main benefit of JumpCloud is the flexibility to bring a secure solution to a client that has a relatively diverse technology stack, which, in my opinion, is pretty much every organization out there. If they want to be forward-leaning, they want to be efficient, odds are they have a collection of different tools that aren't from a single ecosystem. As an example, they may have started out as a Microsoft organization, but they have they've brought in all these other non-directly integrated third-party solutions. JumpCloud allows us in the MSP industry to secure them across their entire set of ecosystems with a single solution. And so you can look to it as effectively as an easy button for making a complex client scenario into a single pane of glass management scenario.
Yeah, that's great, because that's kind of what the product was designed to do. So it's nice to hear that that's what it's helping you to do, and hopefully other MSPs can do the same. But when you, from a point of view of billing the solution to your clients, do you sell that as a separate line item, or do you wrap that up into a managed service bundle? How is that currently being, or a mixture of everything?
Yeah, we currently offer it as a specific add-on line item to our service agreement for clients, because it's relatively new to us and relatively new to our clients. Our vision and where we think we will be when we have fully embraced the JumpCloud solution as a part of our portfolio is that it will be just an embedded part of our overall service. So that's typically for us, as we sort of are piloting and proof of concepting our new solutions, they start out as outside of our main service, and then they transition into. So we're still in the early stages from a billing perspective, but for us to be successful, it's going to end up being an integrated piece of our overall solution.
And how do the clients find the solution from an end user? Obviously, it's always a balancing act with sort of any kind of security to try and get the buy-in from the end user that are ultimately using the service. I mean, are people still, single sign-on? Are people sort of embracing that, or they just still prefer to have a kind of password written on a post-it note somewhere?
So I think client expectations are that technology can be easy, and that security, which is historically known for being a pain and being something that they have to suffer through, can be simple and can be turned into a single sign-on solution. To have a kind of trusted set of technologies that are all integrated into your security portfolio. I think that is the expectation. And so speaking to clients about it, number one, clients, again, are used to security being a pain and it being complex. And the discussion needs to be around simplification, the user satisfaction of not having to jump through all these hoops, the user productivity of not having to jump through all these hoops. And then from a risk mitigation perspective, from a chief executive perspective, the risk mitigation that comes with ensuring that all of these systems, because they are secured in a way that is simple and trustworthy, you have less likelihood of shadow IT, of people going around the security requirements and creating their own, backdoors, et cetera. So, then on top of all that, it has to be cost effective. And again, when you look at JumpCloud versus competing products, you find that it is a cost effective solution that delivers on that productivity, simplicity, and kind of ease of the user's experience.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head again there, because I think that there's always the challenge, whereas when you're speaking to your clients, you're speaking to the sort of owner, manager, CEO, CFO, or whatever, and they understand the reason for doing this. Whereas the end users sometimes historically have seen this security as a barrier for them doing their job. And I guess it's trying to have that compromise so they can get the application to what they need to do seamlessly and securely, but still fulfill the requirements that the CEO's got.
Yeah, exactly. You make the users happy by making their life simpler, right? You make them happy by removing, the need to memorize passwords, the need to have 7 different accounts. You make them happy by making them not notice the security. And it's a different conversation with the executives. You make them happy by cost control, risk control, and simplicity from an integration and policy perspective. So it's a slightly different conversation, but it's the same. It's in the same vein as to the benefits of the JumpCloud solution and the kind of the vision for JumpCloud as a simple and secure, cost-effective solution.
Yeah, that's very well put. Do you train the end users within the clients, or do you kind of have the clients generally train themselves, or how does that work?
So for us to be effective in implementing the solution, we really feel that it needs to be simple enough that there isn't a high bar for training. Training should consist of no more than a single page of maybe 5 steps and a couple of screenshots. This is what the authenticator will look like. They see that one time and they're good to go. So we can and will train clients when necessary, but we find that the best solutions we implement need to be ones that don't require significant training. They need to be intuitive.
Yeah, I guess if people's attention span and long, complicated training seems to be reducing all the time.
Yeah, well, and just back to what user expectations, right? Is they want security to be something that they don't have to think about. They just want to be secure without needing to memorize a whole bunch of steps to be secure. And management wants that too. You don't want to put the onus of risk mitigation on your users who, depending on the industry you're in, they have no experience with IT security. You don't want them to have IT security experience. You want them to be focused on what they do best. And as an MSP, that's our whole mission, is to take that technical, infrastructure and vision piece out of the user's, need to understand or need to have an in-depth experience, and you simplify it for them. And so the user expects that you're going to provide them with a solution that is so simple that they don't even have to think about it or worry about it. And then when there are aspects of that solution that provide them with additional benefit, things that they are incentivized themselves to go seek out, then you spend a little bit more time. Then you have a little bit more in-depth, contact time with the client, because, that's something that they are excited about. The typical end user isn't excited about the security conversation you need to have, but they are excited about the, the password manager that's going to save them time, right? And so that might be a place where we spend more time in training.
Yeah, no, 100%. The user's not interested in security. They just want to get on with their jobs and accept that the fact that the tools are there in place to make them do it. So totally agree. And that does lean on to the kind of final section, actually, which is, and you've spoken about this a little, but about the MSP, the role of MSPs within the small to medium-sized enterprise and the sort of local government. It seems to be growing. We're hearing research that more and more SMEs are reaching out to MSPs to help them get the job done, get their businesses secure. Do you see that as a trend that's going to continue, and more businesses going to look to MSPs to help?
I do. I think the role of the MSP industry is becoming more critical, and I think it's becoming more critical because the evolution of technology is speeding up, right? And we all sort of see that, what used to be a 10-year business cycle or kind of revolution cycle from an R&D perspective in technology is now it's, maybe it's a month and you have new releases coming out and all the technology that you're used to. You have new versions of operating systems. You have artificial intelligence being baked into everything. The pace of technological change has increased significantly. Most companies, especially companies that MSPs are servicing, are not by nature affixed to the evolution of IT business technology. That's not what they're good at. They're good at their industry. And with that aspect changing so quickly and the pace of change being much more frequent, with the reliance of those businesses on using the best technology without having dedicated resources to understanding which technologies they should be using, they rely on MSPs who understand their business, who understand their needs, who also understand leading technologies, who have their finger on the pulse of the newest and best, business applications, productivity software, hardware solutions, artificial intelligence solutions, and they bring those solutions, and we call this the digital transformation service, right? You bring these solutions to clients to help them evolve their businesses without having to invest a significant amount of time in understanding and keeping up with the changes in technology. So organizations that don't have a partner who's looking out for their technological well-being will, by necessity, fall behind their competitors that do. They'll be using antiquated technology. They'll be paying too much. They'll be suffering outages. They'll have, cybersecurity incidents, and they will inevitably fall behind, go out of business. So MSPs are a critical and strategic aspect of pretty much any industry, any organization that's, below the size that has enough, capital to have their own completely in-house, digital strategy and IT, leadership organization. So it will continue to be critical.
Yeah, and I was just smiling there because I was thinking back to maybe six or 7 years ago. I was at an event in the UK and we're talking about MSPs, and people were predicting the end of MSP, really, because it was the point that people were starting to move more applications to the cloud and moving to 365, and the telephony was with Teams, and people were thinking it's getting simpler and simpler. So, small businesses aren't going to need an MSP. But it's actually transpired the exact opposite, that businesses now, even though on the surface things are simpler because there aren't many sort of on-premise servers or physical servers or virtual servers even to host. So even on the face of it, things are getting simpler. In reality, it's got more complicated to tie it all together. And then, as you mentioned, digital transformation and bringing in AI and a whole bunch of other things that MSPs can bring to the table makes MSPs more relevant now than ever.
Yeah, I think what you are seeing there is the evolution of the IT services industry. The pieces that 5 years ago were complicated, right? So like thinking about client server applications and hardware, physical infrastructure, security, those things have become simple, or at least they have the opportunity to be simple. You can move those things to the cloud. You can do them as software as a service. Those things that were difficult have become simple, and that's now become the table stakes. The evolution includes now this whole new area of IT services and business applications. AI as an example, that's of course in the spotlight right now, but it's just one example of the next thing in technology that businesses that aren't in the technology sphere have to understand, leverage, and do it in a wise, cost-effective fashion. That will always continue. That evolution, that pace of technological change will continue. It will increase, and MSPs will evolve along with it. We're doing a lot less server patching than we were doing 5 years ago. We're doing a heck of a lot more advising around solutions and integrating solutions with other solutions. And so the trend towards proactive services and the trend towards cybersecurity, not physical and infrastructure based, but the more abstract cloud and system integration technologies, that will continue to grow. Eventually that will simplify, and we'll be on to the next major change in the industry, and MSPs will be there as well.
Yeah, well, as you were saying it, I'd written down the word evolve there, and then you said the same at the exact moment. So I think, yeah, it is, MSPs need to continue to evolve.
Yeah, well, and I think so. This is true for MSPs as it is for our clients. If an MSP gets comfortable with the status quo, then they will also fall behind and they will go out of business. MSPs have to be looking forward. They have to be looking for the best new products to make things simple. And it's a treadmill, right? And we find products like JumpCloud because it gives us the ability to take a very complicated client environment and simplify it. Because we need to be able to simplify this environment so that we can be looking forward to the next thing that's going to be very complex that we're going to have to figure out how to help our clients simplify. So if MSPs aren't keeping an eye on the future, then those specific MSPs will go out of business, and MSPs like mine will gladly take on their clients and bring their clients forward into the future.
Absolutely. And good luck. I hope you do continue to be successful. I'm sure you will, because you've definitely got the right mindset there. And thanks so much for being an amazing partner for JumpCloud. We're really happy to have you. And hopefully, as you say, over time, we can expand the relationship, get deeper into the tool set and further across more of your clients. I'm sure it's going to be a great relationship for many years to come. But thanks again, Bill, for taking the time to speak to us today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, pleasure to be here. And we really treasure our partnership with JumpCloud, and we look forward to many years of success together.
Great. Speak to you soon.